This video intended for educational purposes. Hey guys, it's Adam aka Swimming Bird, and welcome back again for another Minecraft Snapshot. This is 13W19A for Friday, May 10th. And this is probably the most new blocks we've gotten since this 1.6 update started. And we also have a bunch of features with horses too, and some other cool stuff. So let's get right into it, and you'll see the first new block right near me. This is the stained hardened clay, and there are actually a lot of them, not just red. This is how you would craft it though. You take your normal hardened clay and then you surround it with dye in the center, and then you get your stained clay. And every dye color has stained clay, which is pretty awesome. And you can see the contrast here between the wool and the stained clay, which this was suggested on Reddit when the hardened clay came out, and Dinnerbone definitely saw that and took the suggestion and made it. So this is pretty awesome. It looks really good for building walls and different stuff. I have a ton of things over here that I built that I'll show you in a sec, but I want to get into some of the other new blocks really quick first before I show you all that stuff. Not just the stained clay is new, but we've got a few redesigns, and as you can see here, the coal block has a new design. It is more, it kind of looks like when lava hardens a little bit. It's got like a little flow to it. It looks really nice, and it's differentiated from the redstone, which is cool. So now it has its own unique look. I think only diamond and gold kind of have a repeat look here. And also, if you'll notice, Lapis is a bit different. I'll put a image up here to show you the difference. It's been dulled a little bit, and it has a better outline around it, and I think it actually looks a lot better. That was the first thing I noticed. I was like, wow, I don't remember it looking as nice. I think the contrast isn't as stark, which kind of gives it a nicer look here. And one last little nice thing that has a improvement is charcoal. And charcoal actually finally looks different, and if you know how to make charcoal, I'm sure you just throw your wood into a furnace and you get some charcoal. And you can't actually craft a coal block with charcoal, but at least it's a lot easier to tell it apart here. And this is the crafting recipe for the coal block if you forgot. One feature about the coal block, which was listed in the bug reports, is that someone noticed that they didn't burn. Now, they won't really light on fire from the side like you could with like a wood block or, oops, that leaf block that just caught up in flames there. But you can light it on the top, and eventually here, if we're lucky, it should burn itself away, which I don't know. I think they should burn for a lot longer before they burn away. I think it would be cool, but it is kind of more realistic that it actually does burn away eventually if it is lit on fire, since coal can get burned. And anytime here it should burn. I'll give you another look of the stained stuff here before we go on. I can actually start talking about the horse features before this forest burns down. And waiting for that to burn away still. Now, the big horse feature this week is that donkeys and mules, their packs that they have on their back, as you can see, you would just click them with a chest to give them a pack. Well, now the pack actually serves a function. I never liked birch anyways. No. Okay, so the pack on the donkey, if you want to access it, it gives you a whole nother chest here, and you just have to shift click, and here is my donkey inventory, and you can put stuff in there. And if the donkey dies, he will drop the chest and the inventory and everything. There goes the coal. There we go. That's what I wanted to show you. It burns away. I'm not going to worry about that forest. It'll just burn up a little bit. Now, so yeah, if your donkey were to die, you get everything back, so there's not really too much of a risk of putting stuff in it, but it'll allow you to carry more stuff in your inventory, which is awesome. And if you use a name tag to name your donkey or mule, I've named this little guy Jeffrey, he will retain that in his inventory. And as you can see, here's all the different stained clay blocks and some new things from this update. So yeah, that is pretty awesome. Now let's take a look at some of that stuff, because I didn't really go into them as much. I wanted to get through all the little things over here. I did some experimenting with a bunch of different builds. As you can see, stained clay is actually pretty good for pixel art. I did a little link here. For some reason, I saw the lime one and it looked like wasabi, so I built this giant nigiri, like sushi shrimp thing over here on the chiseled quartz that looks kind of like rice. So there's that with a big plop of wasabi on top. I was experimenting with roads, and if you've noticed, some of the stained clay has a bit of a different color than you expect. If you were to dye the normal hardened clay texture like this with blue, it turns into this purpley type of color. There isn't really a true blue for this. Some of the other ones are more, you know, they make sense the way they go more, but blue gets into like a purple. But the cyan is actually really useful, it looks like, because you could make asphalt roads with it, and it looks a lot closer to the color than you would, and it'll differentiate it from normal stone, which kind of just, you know, looks like every place else that you would dig. But I actually really like the coal block for roads, even though this is very expensive. This is tons and tons of coal, and I've got the yellow stained clay in the center there, but the coal block looks really good for kind of like melty asphalt, so that's pretty awesome. I made like a little log fire here, and I did mention this before, but I think the coal block looks a lot better as like a lava surrounding thing than obsidian. Obsidian's kind of showing its age compared to the nicer texture of the coal block now, but it looks like when lava like hardens in around volcanoes and stuff, which is really cool. I built a little house over here with a couple different layers and stuff, nothing too fancy, just showing off how nice the stained clay looks and everything. And I did, actually build this little machine because I noticed something about charcoal that you guys might have noticed too. I'm just gonna flip on my little machine and I'll let it go, and you guys can see my little cats are just having a ball in their litter box. So I'll just leave that as it is. But yeah, the charcoal has a bit of a weird texture to it. I'll let you look at that. Anyways, that's most of the little designs that I made just to show off the clay and the coal. Now the other thing I wanted to talk about with horses though, one of the bugs that was fixed, before I get into that, one last thing with the clay, here's a screenshot I wanted to show you guys. Someone on Reddit noticed that maybe we should replace the wool in the desert temples with the clay, and it does look a ton better. It looks a lot more natural. The wool always bothered me in those desert temples. It just didn't look like it fit with the sand very good, and the sandstone. So there's that. Anyways, horses, back to those. Now, there was a bug that was causing mobs to not really like spawn in groups. They would spawn kind of like with other animals, but now mobs actually spawn a lot more together, and you can see bigger groups of them, I've noticed. Normally the max group size seemed to be like 4, but now I've seen groups of like 6 or so, and with horses it's really apparent, and I'll put some screenshots up here, because horses are now actually spawning in the plains very frequently. I saw maybe like 8 or 9 groups in one small plains biome spawning, and they spawn with babies, so they look very natural. They've got a bunch of like colored horses together, and they've got their little babies wandering around with them frequently, so that is pretty cool. So if you find a group of horses, herd or whatever, you're gonna probably see a lot of the same. It'll be like the different dotted or mottled color with the same base coat. So you'll see a bunch that look like they would actually be related wandering around. So that's pretty cool. And the big thing though is that horses look to be a lot more common than we originally thought they were going to be, since they were spawning so rare before. And I'm actually in the plains now, so I can show you. Here's a group of these brown horses here, and a couple of them looks like they wandered over. There's a little baby following a black horse. They spawn in pretty big groups though, so shouldn't have too much of a hard time finding them. And I also found 2 pods of or herds 2 pods of ripe donkeys. There was 2 groups of donkeys that I found, and I was a little worried about that, because I'm sure everyone's gonna want a donkey to get a mule if donkeys end up being slower and mules are a bit faster. We'll see. They're still about the same speed, but everyone's gonna want donkeys and mules now that the packs actually work. So it didn't look too rare to find a donkey though. Here's another group of them over here with a baby. So yeah, that is pretty awesome. And I think that the one last thing I wanted to mention though is that the menus, if we went into it, I can actually just like log out and you can look in the options here. The menu background was blurred. The dirt thing here in the menu, that was actually a bug. So that's not actually something that was meant to be in the game, so they fixed that. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this week. Dinnerbone was on his own. Jeb is getting married, so wish Jeb good luck with that. I believe that's actually happening today or tomorrow. And here's one last look at the desert temple with the actual contrast between the wool and the nice clay. So thank you guys for watching. A few things this week, not a ton, but still very good, exciting stuff all around. Thanks for watching once again. Leave a like if you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time for more Minecraft. Oops, I thought that was going to block me out, but just pushed you guys right in my face. Apologies. Goodbye.